పేర్లు నమోదు చేసుకోండి. అమెరికాలో శాంతిగ్రామ్ కేరళ ఆయుర్వేద వైద్య.
We started a show called Visa and Careers Time Show. In this, we discuss about the various visa issues as well as the job market, what is going on in USA. In the show, we always have one job market expert as well as immigration expert. And today we have a job market expert, Dan Nandan. He is the CEO of Higher IT People and also the founder of H1B Support.com. And at the same time, we have a Stephen Markham, and he is one of the founding attorneys of the Markham Law LLC and the firm which specializes in business immigration and immigration thing. So welcome to our studios, Stephen and Dan Nandan.
Namaste.
Namaskar.
So Steve, so I know it's a H1B season, it's so busy time. I know every attorney would be busy in counting, money and other things.
Yes.
Such a wonderful personality. You are oriented of community-oriented person. I'm sure that's why you are here to help the lot of viewers. So what is your firm? What do they do basically?
Thank you, Sridhar, for inviting me to this show. We specialize in business and professional immigration with heavy focus on non-immigrant visas, immigration application, and employment visa applications. We are dealing with this program for the last 5 years or more, and the immigration law, which has gone through significant change, that we're going to talk about in this show. And I'm glad you have created this platform where we are industry expert, and you and we all come together to have a very brainstorming session, and I'll navigate you through with all the latest immigration changes.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
So similarly, Dan, you are here as representing the job expert side, and as well as before I touch the job market, you also have a portal called H1BSupport.com. So what do you do in H1BSupport.com?
I have over 16 years of consulting experience working with thousands of H1B candidates. So I've been going around on the internet, and I see a lot of these forums where questions have been answered by amateurs. So they have no clue. You go to a forum today, you put up a question, and your question is answered by another person just like you. So we came up with this idea 2 years ago. Why not start a blog and help the community where experts like from companies and experts like Stephen, we have a bunch of bloggers on the H1B Support Forum who actually help on a day-to-day basis, including Mr. Stephen, and we have foreign credential evaluators, we have CPAs on the website.
So basically, pretty much like you are a industry experts of HR. I would say that every organization has got a HR side also. You are maintaining those expertise pool of talent and answering to the questions to the public.
Yes.
So let me ask you a question. Like supposing, I know that you are not an attorney. What happens if you give a wrong advice and somebody suffers? Would you be exposed to yourself to potential liabilities?
There is no liability because on our website we have a disclaimer that we don't provide any legal advice, and we are not charging for any kind of information that we provide on the website. So based on our experience in the last at least 15 years, we've seen thousands of H1Bs, and we've held with, we work with a lot of candidates, including H1B filing with the Immigration USCIS and resulting RFEs, as well as working with several candidates who go for H1B visa stamping. So we don't foresee any kind of legal advice, but this is an expert advice.
And also, since you represent today in our panel the job market and expert, so what your company does,
Yes,
Higher IT People?
we are Higher IT People has been established in 2010, and we work with a lot of our own direct clients. We have over 200 people on our payroll, and we have been helping US citizens, green card holders, H1B holders, some students to a certain extent, to get them into contractual opportunities. We also help a lot of American workers to obtain full-time jobs.
Excellent. So Stephen, coming back to the H1B thing, I know one side the people, especially the industry, says it's a nightmare, it's so difficult and better stay away from that. One side of the talk is going on. The same time, and if you look at that, the government allows the quota it's always like double, triple, 4 times.
Correct.
Why there's a contrast? So what is the scenario going to be the lottery situation this year?
So, Sridhar, I think this year going to be a lottery, guaranteed lottery.
Guaranteed lottery.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you compare the demand from last 5 years, it has gone manifold.
Okay.
The economy is improving, and the employer wants to hire people. Somehow, the U.S. economy is not producing enough engineering graduates. That's where the H1B program or H1B workers fill in. So demand is so great that the supply is so low. So if you compare to last 5 years, there has been a surge, and we are urging Congress to increase the visa numbers, which is the last which happened in 2001 when it used to be 185,000. So we are urging Congress to increase the visa numbers, but right now employers have to compete. It is a nightmare, yes, because the program is so complex now. It is filled with employer has to go through multiple layered process. They need a pre-approval. Once pre-approval comes in, the beneficiary, the employee has to go for and seek visa stamping. It is complex because the enforcement has increased as compared to 5 years. H1B program before 5 years was more primarily based on documents and trust. So in the last 5 years, there's such a significant change has happened. We need to rebuild that trust. The industry has to connect. So we will see this year again heightened scrutiny from the agency, and there will be a lottery again. So when employer compete, it is harassment. When employer have the work available and they're not getting enough resources, it gets murkier. So yes, lottery, there is a guaranteed chance of lottery this year.
So what was the last year's situation?
So last year, as for the information available, last year we were somewhere around 233,000 altogether. So H1B includes 65,000 regular H1B and 20,000 US masters.
Okay.
So total number is 85,000. So against 85,000, the agency received 233,000 visa applications, which is, so if you're filing, so 3, you will get 1. So the success rate on the scale of 1 to 10 is 33% only.
So do you think that the last year leftovers are again competing this year? So that's why the number is going up?
There is a possibility. We will see, we call them rollovers. There will be rollovers from last year who could not make the cut. So they were not selecting the lottery. They will be competing in this H1B 2017 fiscal year quota. Yes.
Hey viewers, we are watching this show, and if you have any doubts about the immigration side, H1B or OPT or F1 visa or any visa situation, we have a Stephen Malkin here. He's one of the greatest immigration attorney, and it's a great time to ask questions. And similarly, if you are looking for a job, or if you are a OPT student, or if you are a experienced candidate or already working, and what are the right jobs are available to make more money or any job related thing, we have an expert. So please feel free to ask us questions, and the panel will be very happy to answer your questions. So coming back to Steve, and again this year 2017, the lottery has started again, as you says that.
Correct.
The lottery has not started, the process has started, it's going to go for the lottery.
Yeah.
And typically this H1B is the specialty occupation. So who are the people are qualified? If you feel any specialty, they are qualified under H1B, or certain categories are qualified?
Correct. So H1B is a specialty occupation for bachelor's degree. So each employee or a beneficiary needs to have a minimum of bachelor's degree. So if you ask me, somebody with a high school can qualify, maybe, but the better prospect is somebody, an employee or an applicant needs to have or possess a minimum bachelor's degree. So under the definition of the H1B definition, an employer files on the behalf of the employee. So it is, we call them employer specific program. So you cannot self-sponsor yourself. But the guidance is available since, I think, last year. The agency has realized entrepreneurship. So they want to encourage entrepreneurship. So they're relaxing the rules. So right now, you can sponsor yourself on the self-employment program, but the rules are very rigid. You need to have a board of directors, there need to be supervision, there needs to be a mechanism. So H1B primarily is for bachelor's degree holders. So what defines specialty occupation is your core job duties. So the heavy focus is on job duties, and then we relate that job duties to the area of study. So if most of the H1Bs for last 5 years are being consumed by IT industry, so if the applicant have a skill set in computers, you cannot file them as a dentist. So there has to be relation. So the agency strictly go by the job title and core job responsibilities. And then the company needs to establish the work orders, you have to show availability of work. Once we connect these dots, then we get a true picture. So it is heavily focused on your skill sets, your education, your job responsibilities. So, but bachelor's degree is required as an absolute minimum. You can have a 3 years bachelor's degree, you can have a 4 years bachelor's degree, and then we try to establish eligibility. So specialty occupation includes the defined role, the defined duties, and the education, and it has to be related to the area of study.
Okay, good. So we have a lot of callers already lined up. So yes, please go ahead, sir. What is your name and where are you calling from? And you can ask the question.
Sure. My name is Pramod. I'm
Hello.
calling from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And my question is regarding H1B transfer. Currently, I have a I-140 approved from my current employer, and I want to transfer it to a new employer. Can I get extension based on approved I-140 from my previous employer? That's the question.
And what's your name, sir?
Pramod.
Pramod. Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you, Pramod. The I-140 approval is not married to one employer. If you have a I-140 approved from employer A, you can easily do transfer with employer B, provided it's not revoked. So if it is revoked, then the issue is different. So the guidance as we speak now, you can easily do H1B transfer by using employer A I-140 approval. If you want to move to employer B, it is permissible.
Okay. Pramod, is it clear now?
Yeah, very clear. Thank
Okay,
you.
good.
I've been reading a lot of things on the net, but this clarification actually substantiates the information which I gathered. Thank you very much. Thanks for the.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to add there, if you are moving your H1B to another employer, if you are in the 6th year, you want to make sure that you port your 140 to the new employer. In other words, the new employer has to initiate another perm and start everything from scratch. But you will retain your priority date on the 140. So Pramod, I think you should make sure that if you are in the 5th or 6th year, you get a new 140 perm file by your petitioning employer.
So coming.
Okay, sure, got it.
Thanks, Pramod. Thanks for
Thank
calling our show. So
Thank you.
now the thing is, I know that you wear 2 hats, one on the H1B support immigration as well as representing the industry job market. Now Stephen explains the difficulties of the H1B filing and the various do's and don'ts we are going to discuss in detail. So what do you think, keep yourself shoes only in the employer side? What are the major problems now our industry is facing? Because everybody says it's cumbersome and a lot of denials are going to be there if you don't do the proper thing. So if you list top 3 reasons, what are the major challenges in the employer side in filing H1B?
Okay, to Sridhar, to answer your question, there are 2 types of employers. One is large companies, Fortune 500 companies who file their own H1Bs. And the second most popular, we all know, it's the IT consulting and staffing companies.
We are interested in second more because I'm sure that Fortune 500 is not watching.
Yeah, the Fortune 500 is not watching, so we will focus more on the IT consulting side. Now, the biggest challenge with the IT consulting employers, they have to show, as Stephen explained before, it is not about, hey, I'm an IT consulting employer, I have the money to pay. It doesn't work that way. When it comes to H1Bs, the employer has to show that they have specialty occupation work available for the H1B worker. They're not just coming to the US. In other words, also changing status locally. They have a job that will be available. In this case, we are talking about the fiscal year 2017, which starts in October this year. Employers must demonstrate they have a valid job. Now, A, they have a customer-client contract that can give them a job opportunity starting October 1st. B, they have some type of in-house project which is viable. So these are the challenges. And then, since the Neufeld memo, employer-employee relationship, which was created in 2010, this imposes certain regulations where employer must show that if I have to place somebody, an H1B worker at a third-party client side. Who is a third-party client? I'm not directly working with the client.
Yeah.
I have another company in between, like they're so-called vendors or another layer. We have to route services through these other parties, and how the H1B employer is going to control the employment or supervise the employment, because if the H1B IT consulting employer is located in New York and the candidate is working in California, how they will supervise the beneficiary. So they need proper documentation from the end client where the services are actually being performed, that the employer will control the beneficiary, and there is necessary documentation. One has to show the immigration that this is the way we control them. And in most cases, it's practically not impossible, but not possible to actually show evidence to the immigration to ensure that we are going to be supervising the beneficiary while in a third-party situation. This is the biggest challenge, number one. And number two, we've been talking about, I think, the lottery. 2014, we had about 125,000 applications, and 2015 fiscal year, 172,500. And last year we had about 233,000 applications. And this is increasing. As an employer, we have over 40 to 45 recruiters during the H1B season. Each day we receive over 500 to 1,000 calls and emails asking for H1B sponsorship. So this number is going to increase. I do not know this new OPT STEM extension rule or the H4 EAD rule which came in last year will change this. Now the biggest problem which can affect the lottery, as every year since 2010, H1B aspirants applying for multiple jobs from different employers is filing multiple applications. So this would be the biggest challenge. And growing number of IT graduates, especially from countries like India. Everybody's an IT graduate. Nobody wants to become a doctor. So there have been so many schools, so many engineering colleges. If you compare to, based on my experience, if you compare to 2002, early 2000, the number of graduates that have been, coming out with, graduating with computer science related degrees, including bachelor's and a master's degree, have phenomenally increased. So that's the challenge. And a lot of companies set up their units in India. Companies like IBM, Microsoft, you name them, they're everywhere. They work for a few years, they gain experience, and they want to come to the US to get an H1B.
So you mean to say the supply is increasing more?
The supply, and the good news is the US job market right now, the unemployment is a record low at 4.9%, and there have been a lot of new ventures and a lot of investment is going on. So if you get an H1B visa, probably you have a great job. And as compared to yesteryears, the rates have changed, the pay rates have increased. If you are working closely with the client, if you are going to be working through a consulting employer. For example, in 2005, a Java developer with 5 or 6 years of experience would get paid, the companies would get paid about $50, $55 an hour. Now it went up to $90, $95. So that's the good news.
Okay, because of that's again supply versus demand.
Yes, supply versus demand.
So we have a lot of callers, so we'll take the caller and we'll come back to you, the challenges.
Thank you.
And we'll discuss with the attorney, how it's going to be possible. So yes, please go ahead and ask the question.
Hi, this is Sumit Shekhar. Good evening and good morning back in India. I have 2 questions. Question number 1 is, somebody who I know has been on the functional side, basically representing the business in banking area and insurance. And now that person is trying to, get onto the IT side by, understanding the IT landscape, basically either as a business analyst or as a testing consultant. Now the question that I have is, how does the immigration authorities see that individual as? Because most of the time that person is spent on on the being on the functional side. That's question number one. Secondly, now that person also has an opportunity to get an EAD probably late this year. So as a employee, how would you recommend that person to look at the scenario, whether to go for an H1 or to work under an EAD?
Okay, Somsekhar. Okay. So now probably he's calling from India. So okay, go ahead. I think there's a job question. There's
Yes.
an
Yeah, I think it has a high
Yes,
end.
yes. Now, in order to keeping the functional expertise apart, as Stephen was explaining before, the requirement is a bachelor's degree. So if somebody is going to be wants to work as a business systems analyst, the requirement is either a bachelor's degree in a computer related field, or more specific, someone can have an MBA which can directly be related to business analysis. Now, that person with all this functional knowledge, or financial functional banking knowledge, adding business analysis or quality assurance is up to them. But if you focus just on getting an H1B visa, it is related to the education, not the experience. So if, let's say, somebody had a bachelor's degree in commerce, now how does that person qualifies as a business analyst? With experience. Every 3 years gives you 1 year in college. And now coming to, I was not clear on what you mean by EAD. Is this person coming from India on EAD card, or is this person already here? Would that person be a spouse of an H1B candidate who was a 140 approved? So I'm not very clear on the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the second is true. Second part is true.
Okay.
The H1 principal is in US and the spouse is on H4 at this moment.
Okay.
Okay, so the spouse, the principal H1B applicant, do they have I-140 approval, or they are in their 7th year H1B extension? Because under H4 EAD, you need to establish eligibility. So how did the spouse get EAD? Probably it's H4 EAD, I suppose.
That's correct.
Correct. So now H4 EAD is more flexible as compared to H1B. H4 EAD, you can work with any employer you wish to like. You can open your own business also. H1B is employer specific. That's why we pay heavy focus on it's tied to one employer only. So if you want to change employer, you have to have a new petition filed for you. So H1B again is like a husband and wife relationship. If you want to get divorced, you need to find a new husband. So let's put it this way.
Rightly said, yes. Okay, good, Somsekhar. We have a lot of callers and we have a lot of show to go. So thanks for calling. And we have another caller. Please go ahead, sir. Please tell me your name and what is the question. Hello?
My name is Ravi and I'm calling from Virginia. So
Okay.
the question is, I came to States on L1 and I got converted to L1. So I want to know if the 6-year term on H1 gets counted on L1 or not.
So Ravi, I think I can answer that. Just to understand your question, you're saying L1B period is counted towards H1B or
Yes.
not?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So let's say if you are on L1B, hypothetically, you spend 5 years on L1B, you will get only 1 year out of H1B, maximum 6 years. So L1A and B period both are counted towards maximum H1B of 6 years.
Oh, okay. And
Okay.
one last question, is that okay?
Yeah, okay. Can we take one more?
Yeah, sure. Okay, go ahead quickly, please.
Yeah, so this is regards to the 140. I've been listening to the conversation that they had. So can the employer revoke 140 or can he just withdraw it?
I think under the new regulations which are being proposed, and the new regulations might see light of the day May 2016. Once I-140 is approved, the withdrawal of I-140 because it's again I-140 is an immigrant alien worker petition filed by employer for the benefit of employee. So you have to see where you stand after I-140 approval, what benefit you want to claim after you leave your employer. So simple I-140 withdrawal after 6 months, if your 485 is pending, will not have now any detrimental effect going forward. So we are hearing stories, horror stories. In the previous, what used to happen is employer used to withdraw I-140. Revocation is different, withdrawal is different. You need to understand the difference. So when you say revocation, that means agency has found something later, post-approval, in the original paperwork, and they are trying to revisit approval. So agency revokes. Employer can simply ask to withdraw or cancel I-140. So I think what Samit is asking is, if my employer wishes to cancel my I-140 approval, can I take advantage with the new employer based on I-140 approval? It depends what stage you are. If you are in I-140 485 stage, and once 6 months is done, you're in much better shape, because under the new regulations, after 6 months, I-140 withdrawal by the original employer will have no effect.
Great. So you are watching our show, and if you have any questions with Stephen Markan, please call during our show. Later on, if you want to talk to him or consult him, you can visit themarkanlaw.com. And you can always visit, that's one of the greatest countries immigration attorney firm, and also they're into business immigration. And similarly, Dan though he's a businessman and he representing the job market here, he also has got a H1B Support.com, and he is volunteering his services at no legal advice or anything. It's just if you take it well and good, so on basis he is running, and H1B Support.com. You can also post a question, he will answer. So in our show, there is a small break. Please stay tuned to TV5. We are coming back shortly.
నేటి నాట గాయకులే రేపటి మూవీ సింగర్స్. ఔత్సాహికుల కోసం TV5 నాట ఐడల్ మెగా ఈవెంట్. నాట కన్వెన్షన్ డల్లాస్ 2016 సందర్భంగా స్పెషల్ ప్రోగ్రామ్. పాటల పోటీల్లో పాల్గొనండి, లక్కీ ఛాన్స్ కొట్టేయండి. అమెరికాలో 10 నగరాల్లో ఏప్రిల్ 29 నుంచి మే 22 వరకు పోటీలు. మే 27 నుంచి 29 వరకు డల్లాస్ లో ఫైనల్స్. న్యాయ నిర్ణేతలుగా చంద్రబోస్, రఘు కుంచే.
ఈ కోరికకు ఒక వేదిక సిద్ధమైంది, అది నాటా ఐడల్.
మే 29th విజేత ఎవరైతే ఉంటారో ఆ విజేతకి తెలుగు సినిమాలో ప్లేబ్యాక్ సింగర్ గా ఛాన్స్ ఇవ్వడం జరుగుతుంది.
గ్రాండ్ స్పాన్సర్ గా డాక్టర్ ప్రేమ్ రెడ్డి. మరింత ఆలస్యం, మరిన్ని వివరాలకు సంప్రదించండి www.nata2016.com. అమెరికాలో ఆటా సిల్వర్ జూబ్లీ వేడుకలు జూలై 1 నుంచి 3 వరకు ఉత్సవాలు. ఆటా TV5 ఆధ్వర్యంలో ఆటాస్ గాట్ టాలెంట్ షో. ఔత్సాహికులకు సదవకాశం. మిమిక్రీ, కామెడీ, మ్యాజిక్, షార్ట్ ఫిల్మ్స్, ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంటల్ రీసైటల్స్ తో పాటు మరెన్నో. మీలో ఉన్న ప్రతిభను ప్రపంచానికి పరిచయం చేయండి. విజేతలకు ఆటా కన్వెన్షన్ లో చాయిస్. ఎంపిక చేసిన ప్రదర్శనలు TV5 లో ప్రసారం. ఆసక్తి ఉన్నవారు పేర్లు నమోదు చేసుకోండి.
Welcome back to Visa and Career Times. So Stephen, and we have discussed about the industry side, and they have a lot of challenges. Like they're saying that for H1B, that they had to issue a job that October 1st onwards, and 2017 or 2016 for that matter, they have a job available, then only H1B is available. And also as for the Neufeld memo is concerned, employer-employee relation is a concern he is mentioning. And also like another thing is there's too much of people are coming up, they're also applying for the visas and other situation he mentioned. But I don't know, too many people applying, what is maybe probably you're talking about a duplication of the visas or something challenge. So let's come back to one by one points. And if a industry point of view, if they want to assure to the government they have a job after October 1st, How is it practically possible? Do you think any employer in the USA are going to give any job assurance that there is job of October 1st, 2016 is existing? Such a country with the pink slips it runs, do you think it's practically possible?
So Sridhar, coming back, I think your question has multiple layered components which we need to cover. For H1B 2016, the start date has to be October 1st. So it is difficult. It's very difficult to establish availability of work 6 months in advance.
Yes.
So this courtship period which has been created of 6 months, the employer has a heavy burden of proof to establish scope of work, to establish supervision, to establish that they can stand by their application starting October 1st. Now agency, if you also talked about Newfield memo, this memo came out on January 9, 2010. Earlier Newfield memo, the documents used to speak for itself. The agency used to rely on documents. Now, no more documents speak for itself. It's the work speaks for itself. So establishing work orders 6 months in advance is burdensome for employers. Agency is still accepting work orders or SOWs because the availability of work can be established through contractual papers. So they are right now not heavily focused on your establishing 6 months in advance. The focus of agency has changed after Newfield memo. They have switched from regular processing to supervision and control. So Newfield memo opened the door for enforcement. So it is 11-page legal document which is crafted by the USCIS legal counsel. So it has done so much of crackdown on IT industry that they were not prepared. Now the heavy focus, other than beneficiary qualification we just talked in the past, is on how to establish control.
Yes.
So control, the way agency wants to see control is traditional employer-employee setting. Like we are sitting in one room, you can see me, I can see you. Now in this IT revolution age, most of the workers work at the off-site locations. They work at the end clients. They work as telecommuters. So agency wants to know how now you will establish control and how you will exercise supervision. So two aspects. So to establish control, we have asked the industry to establish performance review, to establish periodic status reports, so that you have a line of communications open between employer and employee. The most difficult part is the supervision part. How many times you have contacted them. So the length of work order, the supervision, the control, if you all put down together, it has become a lot of headache for.
But practically, these people, they work in multiple layers.
They
where
work in
they have
multiple
strict
layers, yes.
non-compete agreements. This is a law. This is a land of law.
Yes.
So you can't even talk to those clients. Your whole layer.
Yes.
And in a practical scenario, where this control is coming into play.
Yeah, the control. They want to see control flowing from end client to all the layers down.
Okay.
So the agency somehow is not able to. In the initial years after Newfield memo, they were not able to understand the business model of the industry. Most of the end clients, they want to work only through their vetted preferred vendors.
Okay.
They don't want to work with 100,000 suppliers, because like an actor who works only through his agent, and there are 100 people who want to work with an actor. So that is end client. So end client would like to get work only through his vetted. So that layer has been created. So if the suppliers are IT consulting companies, they cannot go direct to big end clients. They say, if you want to work with us, you have to come through this door. This door is called preferred vendors. So this has created an extra layer. So once we create an extra layer in the workflow, the definition of supervision is somehow gets loosened up.
Okay.
So agency wants to see the control to be established by employer, and same time vendor and end client. Okay. So they want to see the whole chain of employment. which is very difficult to establish.
We have another point also very
Sure.
important, because one side we have the lottery. A lot of people are the filing candidates are highly frustrated in applying H1Bs. They're
Correct.
doing a lot of duplicate efforts. We are going to come back to you, the industry-wise, how they are suffering. And similarly, we will talk about it, but we have a lot of callers. We'll
Sure.
take callers, and after that, we'll talk about the duplication of the H1Bs.
Correct.
Yes, please, sir. Go ahead. Sorry to keep waiting for so long. Hello, name and place.
Hello.
Where are you calling from? What is your name?
This is Raghavendra. I'm calling from
Hello?
Edison.
Hello.
Hello. This is Raghavendra. I'm calling from Edison.
Okay. Go ahead, Raghavendra.
I am just interested to know about H1 amendment, and I wanted to know about the importance of filing H1 amendment. Can you please explain? Is that
Okay, so you're
required?
Yeah. He's talking about H1B amendment. Probably, are you already H1B candidate and already changing the project location? So that's what you're talking about, H1B amendment?
That's right.
Okay.
Actually, my wife is working for one of the leading employers in
Okay.
US. So she has got a project in another place, but she will be working from home. So her purchase order is given with other location, remote location. Since she is working from home, does it require to file H1 amendment for her or not required?
I think, Stephen, that's a good question.
I think that's a good
Yeah.
question, yeah. H1B amendment, which has been recently gone through a new law, it came out, I think, April last year, and the USC has just established the guidance in July 2015. H1B amendment is triggered whenever there is a material change in terms and conditions of employment. So that may include change in location, that may include change in salary, that may include change in role, that may include change in job responsibilities. So if you're working as a software engineer now, they have promoted you to VP operations, it will trigger amendment. Each worksite location requires new amendment, and coming back to original question, the spouse is working as a telecommuter. So if that work location was not covered in original H1B approval, you require H1B amendment.
Okay. So we have another caller. We have a lot of callers. We have to quickly take calls. We have to discuss. Yeah, please go ahead, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from? What is the question?
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, my name is Kamal. I'm from Chicago.
Yes, Kamal.
Yeah, I'm here on a B1, B2 visit, and I'm planning to convert my status to a student. So I've applied. I'm applying for status change. So, sir, I just want to check with what are the chances and what are the best possible ways to get my status changed from B1, B2 to F1.
Okay, Kamal. F1 is a in F1 visa processing. When you do change of status, each applicant needs to establish non-immigrant intent. F1 is not a dual intent visa, means you have to establish and show to the agency that you will go back to the country of origin after you conclude your F1 visa program. This is one of the key component of F1 visa program. Change of status from B1, B2 to F1 is permissible, but the agency takes its own sweet time. Be ready for 6 to 9 months of processing. Make sure your school is accredited. Make sure your school is not some rundown university. So you have to do research on your school, and you need to establish intent to return home, and then you need to establish you have sufficiency of funds. Once you establish these 3 components, you will get F1.
Kamal, let me ask you a question. You are on a B1, you are applying for H1 also. And are you any software related thing? I mean, are you?
Yes, I've been working for IT.
Because we have a
for
job
7 years.
expert. He can recommend you what are the right courses and what are the right skills where they can fetch you H1.
Oh, okay. I was working as a business analyst
Okay.
in India for the American companies itself, for the healthcare companies.
So Dan, so if he works that thing, do you think
Yes,
they got a job market for him to go for H1?
Possible. I think, Kamal, you mentioned you were trying to join school and get an I-20 and get an F1 visa. Is there any reason
Yes.
why you were not planning for an H1? Because your entry on B1, is it like 3 months, 6 months? I do not know your situation. But then since you work for an American company, as a business analyst, I think you should propose to get an H1B job and file an H1B visa, which is, if there is a lottery, I'm sure there will be. If it gets picked in the lottery, then you have better chances than the F1 visa, as explained by Steve. For F1, as he rightly mentioned, based on my experience with people that post questions on my blog, change of status from establishing that you have the money, establishing that you will return to your home country after completing the course is tough. Now, if something goes wrong during the process, your F1 visa is denied, change of status, you might even accrue illegal status because your B1 is a maximum of 6 months.
Yes.
Okay, so I think you should, since you have the experience as a business analyst, I think you should be looking at filing an H1 and maybe travel back and come back on an H1B visa. Then you have a job, you don't have to pay for school.
Okay, so Kamal, we have a lot of callers, so thank you very much for calling. So go ahead, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from? What is the question? Next caller. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hey, hi sir. I'm Kumar from India. I have few questions I wanted to talk. I've been following the H1BSupport.com and it's quite good. With an online support too. I really appreciate that. I have one question that's bugging me from a long time. Probably that would help a lot of Indians too. Especially the IT staffing companies. I don't know how it works, but exactly what they say is we don't even know whether they apply the H1B or they don't. A lot of companies, they just charge money for the H1B. They say they have some filing fee for LCA, filing fee, USCIS, and also evaluation fee something. So we are not sure exactly how to track the application, whether they even apply it or they don't. We are a little confused on that. So I just wanted to know in a clear way what exactly happens and how do we track it and what are the fees that is involved. Like, I don't know if there is a fee for LCA, but few IT staffing companies say there is a fee for LCA. They deduct some money if it's not picked in lottery. So this process is a little bit confusing. So it would be good if someone can explain.
Okay.
Dan can explain.
Yeah, they will explain. I think there are many callers, so let's give a fair chance to everybody. Okay. So let's. I think Dan. I don't want to put attorney into very serious part. So
Okay, that's
industry-wise what's happening.
Kumar, I definitely understand your concerns. I do know that there is a lot of confusion which goes on with what happens if you're working with an IT consulting company. I do not know about what you refer to about companies charging fee, but then to cut down the process, because we have a lot of callers. The only way to ensure that your H1B has been sent is to ask the employer, A, when your H1B is filed, get an offer letter signed by the employer. B, get an LCA labor condition application, copy of the labor condition application, which is required by the employer to provide to the H1B worker. Get a copy of the labor condition application. And number 3, C, you can ask them for a mail tracking number, which is either FedEx, UPS or United States Postal Service. There is a mail tracking number. Now the worst case, if your H1B is not picked in, there is no fee for the LCA, by the way, but unless they are using service of an attorney, there is a legal fee that is not refunded by any attorneys, right? So, attorneys just, they have to make their money because they put in the service. Now what happens if your H1B is picked in the lottery? I have some samples here. I don't know, we're too close to the camera, but then
I think this is the one. Yeah.
This is a sample receipt that you get if your H1B is picked in the lottery. This is a receipt notice and it has the fee for the H1B petition. The fee is based on the size of the employer. Employers under 25 employees have a different fee. It is about $1,575, not including premium processing, not including the legal fee. Then employers under 50 employees, they pay about $2,325, and employers above 50 employees, where the 50% of more workforce is a foreign workforce, they pay $6,325.
Correct.
There's a new fee increase of $4,000. Now, if your H1B is not picked in the lottery, USCIS sends something like this.
With the name on it?
With a name on it. This is, this has been there last 2-3 years. In 2010, or those days, they would never send, they would just send the application back. But now there is a number. This is coming from Vermont Service Center. Then it has a number, starts with V. It has your name, we just had to
it's called
white
rejection
out.
notice.
It's a rejection notice.
Yeah.
So when they reject the application, the immigration does not charge a fee. I hope I answered your question, Kumar. That was a great question. Thank you.
Okay, so let me just come back to you that our show, main thing. We are, a lot of callers are asking, so we want to put a pause to the callers right now for it temporarily. So now the thing is, as an job expert in the industry, and I know that one side is a lot of recently H4s, they're regulated to EADs, and a lot of people are dumped in a lot of people are into the market right now. And also at the same time, the new elections process, the new president is going to come, new rules are coming up. So do you think that is it a good time to employer side to apply H1Bs?
As long as the employer has a job, a specialty occupation work available, it's always okay because you are following the guidelines and regulations. But if there are IT staffing companies out there who want to bring people without a job opportunity, valid job opportunity, and find them placement, put them on a bench and find a job opportunity, I don't think that's okay. Every time, in the last, I've been, observing this concept. Whenever there's elections or whenever there's some change in economy, there is more enforcement. So,
the person comes, is this the right time to file for H1s for the employer side?
Personally, I cannot answer that question. It's, definitely an employer dependent, specific employer.
The job industry now. You have to
Right, but if they have, since the job market is, let me put it other way, since the job market is good, and I'm sure most of the employees, if you are working with a good staffing firm, with a good consulting company, then yes, they will be able to, I'm sure they already have contracts, they already have, good clients, and they should be able to put you on a job from day one. And as opposed to what we were talking before, I know it is tough to show employment after 6 months, but there are clients, we have personally, we work with number of clients where we went to clients and said, hey, I have this experienced candidate that I want to bring from India, and can you work with me after 6 months? Are you willing to get him on your project, get her on a project after 6 months? Yes. So as long as you work for those companies who are established here, then it's a possibility.
Okay, coming back to Steven, we don't have much time.
Yes.
So we have to talk about the duplication of the immigration, because a lot of people are, candidates are applying multiple places. And also we have to talk about the OPT stem from 17 to 24 months.
Correct.
Could you please tell us what is the disadvantage and advantage? Because we can't really stop the candidates coming to you and asking H1B. Employer has to bear all the expenses. These people, they go to another employer and do it. How do we stop that? How do we find out?
Yes. So Sridhar, coming back to duplicate petitions. Duplicate petitions are not permissible. So what does that mean? Is each company filing for same beneficiary to increase the chance or odds. That is absolutely not permissible. Another thing which is not permissible, it's called multiple H1B petitions, where the entities are related or affiliated. USCI as an agency never used to, do a scrutiny on multiple H1B petitions of related companies. But they codified a regulation which came down in 2013. I'm not sure about the year. So the regulation says even if there are different entities, but if they are related, they are affiliated, like a parent-child, parent-subsidiary relationship, they will deny both the petitions and also they will take the money of the employer. So it's not only of a duplicate petitions, it's of related companies or not, affiliated companies or not. So the heavy focus, otherwise a beneficiary can file through multiple employers, provided they are not related to each other. So if Sridhar, you're owning 2 companies, you cannot file 2 petitions as of now for the same benefit.
Some other company can do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the problem is the employer is losing all his money tomorrow if he doesn't join.
Yes. So that
big
risk.
money.
So that risk will always be there. So we strongly encourage employers to be careful when they are doing multiple petitions. We should not advance or give the appearance of multiple petitions where they are related. So even if USCIS has the tools, the mechanism through their program, it's called VIPE, to identify multiple petitions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now let's come back to the OPT students, and recently from 17 to 24 months.
Yes.
So
And I just want to add with the duplicate petitions, if you have one client, it's the same client job, and they're applying through different IT consulting or staffing firms, that is also counted as the same job. So the LCA is open for the same client, and if both the applications are picked, then you are going to get into trouble. As he just said, when they go through the Dun & Bradstreet VIPE database, or they figure out that you cannot apply to the same client through different employers. So keep that in mind, viewers.
So let's focus on
Correct.
the OPT 24 months.
So yes, Sridhar, so there is a very good news for foreign students who are a graduate of STEM degree. Department of Homeland Security under Obama administration, they have increased the OPT STEM from 17 months to now 24 months. So the STEM degree holder can get OPT status is now extended to 36 months. It used to be 29 months, now they have changed and extended to 36 months. It is going effective May 10, 2016. So that is the date when this rule will become effective. So now this OPT extended program to 36 months, the agency, they have changed the guard. So what they have introduced, so we have prepared these talking points, they have introduced plenty suites, or we would call them regulations. So the biggest challenge which we see is requirement of individualized training plan. That's number one. Requiring the student to regularly report during their 24 months of OPT. So first of all students, irrespective of STEM or non-STEM, will get 12 months OPT. On top of 12 months, 24 months OPT, with only STEM degree holders are eligible. Now, to qualify for STEM 24 months OPT extension, you need to have graduation from accredited school. That's number one. You need to work only with the E-Verify employer. The E-Verify employer needs to have develop and initiate training plans. So agency is introducing, if the callers want to note down, form I-983, which is available March 11, 2016. It just got unveiled by the agency. Now, student can get the training plan, and they have to fill up form I-983 with the employer certification also. And another proposal which is part of this regulation is reporting. So reporting requirements have increased. So 5 big changes. Number one, from 17 months to 24 months, only accredited school graduate holders will be eligible. You can only work with E-Verify. It used to be before, so they are keeping E-Verify component still available. Training plans needs to be established by employer. There's a form called I-983. I think callers can Google it. And reporting requirements. So each year there will be assessment report. Students just have to report to the school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
and
sir,
it has to be the job has to be related to the degree.
I think we have to discuss one more show with the the
Yeah, it's a big giant
accreditation,
significant
everything we are
change.
going
Yeah.
to discuss. And we have a lot of callers. I don't know how to take many callers. They have a deadline for that show also. So go ahead, sir. Please tell me your name and quickly question, please. We are running out of time, so we have to be quick. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah, hi. Good evening. My name is Shalini, and I'm calling from North Carolina. I have a question regarding my visa stamping. I'm planning to go to India for my H1B stamping. My end client doesn't give me a client letter. However, there's a work order between the vendor and my employer. So will that be sufficient when I go for stamping?
Okay, so Steven.
I think I've always advised employers and employees that client letter is not the only magic wand. It's not the only that will get you the visa stamping. We have seen visa stamping without client letters. The minimum which we advise is to establish you should have unexpired. Make sure the purchase orders and work orders. So unexpired, if you have a possibility of extension, you should get a vendor letter also. But if you are missing or you don't have a client letter, it's not that you're going to be denied a visa stamping. It may become a little bit more delayed. It may go into administrative processing. But absolute minimum is contract POs. That's they want to see. And these days, visa officers are calling your work locations also, just to make sure availability of work is there. So heavy focus is not on the client letter, it's on the availability of work or POs.
Okay, so we have another caller. So please go ahead, sir. What's your name? Calling from where? Question.
Hello, sir. My name is Subbareddy. I'm calling from New Jersey.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, please, Subbareddy garu.
Yeah. Recently, I have transferred my H1 from one employer to another employer. So that was in a standard mode. After joining to the client, somehow I lost my project and I have moved to the new client while transfer was in progress. So now I got an RFE asking for a client letter and all. Suppose if I submit the client letter from the second client, how it is going to work? Will it be any problem?
I think, so let me understand. You filed transfer and during the transfer, the change in location happened, correct?
Yes.
So did your employer file the amendment? Because each change in location requires new amendment now.
No, he has not filed any amendment. I remember he filed a new LCA.
So I think that should not be enough. If your work site has changed from within 15 miles or more, then I think amendment is absolutely must going forward. This is the law.
I'm sorry to disturb you. What is that miles? 50 miles?
No, if there is a change in worksite location which is not covered in the original LCA, then we need a H1B amendment. Means your employer needs to file amendment. Then this amendment what will happen is your H1 transfer, this will become a bridge petition. So your H1 transfer will act as a bridge between your previous employer and your new amendment. So I would strongly recommend to file amendment because there is a change, significant change in location, and your transfer, your original transfer, I don't know how your employer will reply, but your amendment will take care of all your worries.
Sorry, sir. I want to repeat my question. I transferred my H1B to a new employer.
Okay.
So with the receipt of the transfer, I worked for one client and again I changed a new client. Now I got an RFE and they are asking for a client letter. We are planning to submit the client letter from the second client.
Okay. So I think what he's saying is, when you change location, was that location part of the original paperwork, H1B? No. So employer needs to have each work location approved from USCIS. It's called H1B Amendment. So some of the work locations which are near to your original LC or approval, they do not require amendment. So because my understanding is your employer still has not filed amendment, and what will happen to his transfer pending.
Okay, coming back to the Subbareddy's question is, he can always, because we don't have much time in the show, so you need a lot of details also.
Yeah, I think we need
I think after
details.
the show, and not right now immediately, after the show, give us after 8 p.m. today, you can always email to immigration@tv5news.net and we will pass on to H1B support as well as to the immigration attorney, and if they have time, definitely they'll come back to you. Again, immigration@tv5news.net. You can send an emails. I know there are a lot of callers, I was told that they're waiting. I really apologize. We can't take calls because of the time deadline. And sorry about Subbareddy Garu and other people, because I was told there are 4 callers, so I can't take, unfortunately.
Sure, absolutely.
So
No problem.
please send us email to immigration@tv5news.net. We do the voluntary servicing, and we'll pass on to those gentlemen. If they have time, they will come back. Unfortunately, we don't have control. So, so again, Stephen Markan, and now what is the tips you are going to give, the final thing? And finally, to our audience, to the companies as well as to the aspirants.
Yes, I think that's a $1 million question.
Yes, we want to put it
getting,
in like $1 note.
getting your H1B selected in lottery requires absolute luck. First, you should have good stars, and your employer needs to make sure the petition is filed properly. It has the correct amount of fees. So we have prepared a checklist which we distribute to employers each year. So the absolute must is you need to establish work, and you need to connect the beneficiary education to work. And once we and the employers are very familiar with the process. They want less scrutiny, but the agency which loves more scrutiny, you'll see this year there will be a huge demand, not compared to last year. This is my take. My take is it should be a little bit less as compared to last year because of the increased fees.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also coming back to the Dan, I mean, like, because what are the jobs, say the jobs market? I know that you said unemployment is so low and it's a good market, but still this job market is so good despite the H4 EADs have, like almost in the market. You know that there are a lot of people, thousands of people have got it.
Since we are talking about H1B visas and the IT job market, I do not know how many of the EAD holders from the H4 visas have taken up IT jobs. We haven't seen, as a recruiting firm working over 100 jobs a day, we haven't seen a lot of applicants coming back to us applying for IT jobs with the H4 EAD cards. But then, just to give quick tips since we have to close the show, students or aspirants coming from overseas, especially from countries like India, the market is pretty hard for contractual jobs. And the top skills, this is based on our market research. We have checked on dice.com, Indeed, and amongst our own recruitment team. The top performing job right now in the market is Java full stack developers. Then automation quality assurance candidates with Selenium, QTP, HP, etc. And then DevOps engineer, the development operations engineers. Then definitely cloud computing, big data, Hadoop. They're on the race. The bill rates are high. You can make a lot of money. And then there's MS Cloud developer, similar to Azure, similar to the cloud computing. Then following, Oracle jobs, Tableau, Sitecore, IBM WebSphere. Then we have seen a good increase for Spotfire. SAP is still shaking there. The rates aren't so great that they used to be 10 years ago, but you still have a job. It's well paying. SAP jobs still pay, clients still pay over $80 an hour, going up to $150, $175, depending on your experience. So if you are anywhere related, close to cloud computing, or you are into Java, you are an SME, you should get into full stack development in Java, and then focus more to become an architect. If you have 5 or 6 years of experience as a developer, then you upgrade yourself to an architect. So once you come into the US, you are going to make more money. If you are going to be in a big metro, then the expenses are high. So if you are coming, focus right after your H1B picked in the lottery. I think you should focus on more training, more certifications. Companies do ask for certifications. Our clients do ask for certifications. So it's a very good idea to be certified in your area. So get those certifications, go get those logos on your resume, and make sure you have a nice resume. Very well explained with all your keywords. Get all the ingredients together and get it out in the market.
Yeah. And it has to be filed in first 5 business days of April.
And especially for the OPTs, and they're passing out from the universities, and what are the job skills? Because some people, they say that, hey, I don't want to go into coding line, I want to go into non-coding. So what are the things they can get in, because they're fresh students, they have to really compete with the L1 people with the real experience, hands-on experience, they have to compete. So what skills do you recommend?
Okay, now coming back to the students who don't have a lot of experience, you should believe in yourself. What it means, if you had a bachelor's degree and then you came up, you've completed a master's degree, you should go with your own subjects, what you have learned at school. If, for example, you've done MBA in marketing and you don't want to go experiment on Java development, so look at your subjects, look at what you have learned in college. So take it in that direction. If, for example, you have C# in your school, then you should be looking at C#, .NET or something related. If you are an MBA, then you should be looking at closely business analysis or QA. Don't jump for a lot of money, go get trained on something which cannot go into your head. It's a waste of time. If you try that, you will end up wasting time, 6 months, 8 months jobless, and with the new proposals of the STEM, you should be very careful that you protect your immigration status as well.
Okay, good. So, and as I said that we have a lot of callers, so we'll take one caller out of all because we've been waiting. So go ahead, sir. What is your name and where are you calling from? What is the question? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Can you keep your TV mute and please speak to us? Okay, I think the call got dropped. Okay. So now I think we'll have to close now the show because there's a lot of pressure. So now the last question to you, Steven. And is there any really going to be a big difference for an employee to apply under premium versus the regular? Result is same.
Result is the same. In one of our liaison meetings, they say we treat both on equal platform, on equal footing. Will not increase their odds at all.
Great. And Dan, the same thing. A lot of people, a lot of viewers, they want to really, join the company, like companies like yours. And if they want to join your company and the H1B transfers or new H1Bs, what is your email ID you can share?
Sure.
So know?
If you need help with anything, not just joining our company or finding an opportunity for you, my email is Dan, D-A-N, at hire, H-I-R-E, hire, IT as in information technology, people like public. It's Dan at hireitpeople.com.
Okay. So viewers, if any H1B transfers or anything, Dan is having two hats. I mean, he's a company, so if anybody wants like H1B transfers or H1B or any jobs or anything, and you can always reach him at Dan at hireitpeople.com. And similarly, if there's any immigration questions, please visit the website markanlaw.com and post a question to Mr. Steven. I'm sure that he's a very busy man. If he has permits the time, he will come back. But we will also do our job of please send us to immigration, any job related or any immigration, please send it to immigration@tv5news.net. We will also pass on to the right people and get you answered. And please, this show is going to continue every Monday. We do our best to bring the panel experts, the company CEOs, and also the immigration experts. And we are not going to stop here. We discuss every week. Please store all your questions and come back to us next week. And please keep watching our show, Visa and Career Times. It's a new show, and this is the H1B Times a lot of people need, and we are here to help you. And please keep watching TV5 and stay tuned. My name is Sridhar Chalra, signing off.
Thank you.